Robert Baratheon was a king of Westeros, a hero of a rebellion, and a man of great strength. But he had even greater flaws. His story is one of triumph, tragedy, and ultimately, a warning to all. Today we're going to take a look at the rise, reign, and ruin of Robert Baratheon, a man who may have been destined to conquer, but perhaps never rule. To understand Robert Baratheon, we have to start at the beginning. Born the eldest of three sons to House Baratheon, was Robert, Stannis, and Renly. Robert grew up at Storm's End, a place as rugged and formidable as he would become. Known for his towering height and legendary strength, Robert was a warrior by nature and practically destined to make waves across Westeros. But what really set Robert on his path to power was his friendship with Eddard Stark, and more significantly, his love for Lyanna Stark. Lyanna was Ned's younger sister, and Robert's one true love. Or, at least that's how Robert saw it. But this romance would turn out to be the driving force behind one of the most significant conflicts in Westerosi history, Robert's Rebellion. When Lyanna was reportedly abducted by Rhaegar Targaryen, that's when Robert's obsession and fury sparked a rebellion that would change the course of history forever. And Robert's rebellion was no regular rebellion. Robert Baratheon was unstoppable in his rage. He was renowned for wielding his massive warhammer with deadly precision. No battle showcased this power better than the last battle of the war, the Battle of the Trident. It was there Robert finally faced Rhaegar Targaryen, and it ended up being a duel for the ages. The once dashing prince was no match for Robert's rage. With one swing of that hammer, Robert ended Rhaegar's life and sealed the fate of not only the whole Targaryen dynasty, but Westeros as a whole. The rebellion was victorious, but the man who emerged wasn't Robert the warrior anymore. It was Robert the king. And that's when things started to change in Westeros. Despite his success in battle, Robert the warrior was just ill-suited to ruling. He loved the thrill of conquest, but hated the responsibilities of kingship. We saw that pretty well in the TV show. The paperwork, the court intrigue, and the delicate balance of Westerosi politics just didn't interest him. What Robert wanted was the freedom to live as he pleased, something that's kind of tough to pull off when you're on the Iron Throne. But Robert's problems didn't end with the throne. It ended with his marriage. His marriage to Cersei Lannister was straight a political necessity, not a love match. And while Robert never stopped mourning Lyanna, he tried to fill that void with wine, women, and endless parties. Cersei, meanwhile, despised him because she had her own political ambitions. Whether it was Robert Baratheon's inability or just plain unwillingness to rule, it actually allowed Cersei to plant her roots in the capital. While Robert was off drinking or hunting or whoring, she was cultivating her power. In a twisted irony, that same recklessness that helped Robert win the crown was now undermining his rule, and in time would actually threaten his very life. Another dark twist: none of Robert's supposed heirs were actually his. Joffrey, Myrcella, and Tommen were all results of Cersei's relationship with her brother Jaime. But Robert either didn't see this or chose to ignore it. His neglect meant that Cersei, Jaime, and their secret were able to fester right under his nose. The years of indulgence had changed Robert. The once fit, fearless warrior became an overweight and disillusioned king, weighed down by the regrets and haunted by memories of what could have been. And then came the hunting trip that would mark the end of Robert Baratheon. There were whispers that Cersei's interference may have played a part, but either way, Robert's days of battling, drinking, and ruling came to a sudden, tragic halt when he was mortally wounded by a boar. Robert's final days were spent in a haze of pain and regret. On his deathbed, he entrusted the kingdom to Ned, his oldest and truest friend, asking him to care for his children. But even in death, Robert's story was marred by betrayal. Little did he know, his own wife's schemes were already set to undermine his last wishes. So what does Robert Baratheon's life teach us? He was a man built for war, not for peace. A man who could conquer, but could not lead. He was consumed by his love for a woman he could never truly have, by a throne he never really wanted, and by a life that ultimately left him hollow. Robert Baratheon in many ways is a cautionary tale. His life reminds us that the qualities needed to take power aren't always the ones needed to hold it. A man who would rather be hunting, fighting, or laughing with his friends became the most powerful man in Westeros, and maybe in the end, that was his tragedy. Thanks for hanging out today as we explored the life of Robert Baratheon. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want more deep dives into the legends of Westeros.